Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Welcome to another edition of our Dailyish Devotionals. I am Pastor Brian, and you are stuck with just me today. But I think we're going to do something just a bit different. I like that book, going through the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus gave, and if Jesus was serious, or what if Jesus was serious. But it's too serious. I was reading the one for today, and it was about persecution, and they had a great point about how we like to think we're persecuted as Christians, and we like to claim our religious liberties are under assault, where, really they're not. But it's like, I don't want to deal with that. So I was looking on my bookshelf, and I found an old book from Max Lucado, God Came Near, Chronicles of the Christ. And I read the introduction and thought, I like that better for the devotional. I don't want to admit to myself that I missed those silly old devotionals. Remember we started way back and I was going to go through that devotional book, Start Your Trip with a Full Tank, and I thought, those are hokey. Turns out I missed doing that. Well, I didn't mind some of the challenges in that what if Jesus was serious, and I think it's important, and I will continue to read it. I just thought, man, I'm a goofy kind of minister. We need to do a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more stuff of that nature. Not necessarily goofy, but more uplifting, more of a devotional type thing to give us hope and that. So, especially with times like this, man, I think I'm going to give up reading the news. Sometimes I just feel completely stressed out that our world is going to hell in a handbasket, if you will, and we're all just along for the ride. So I sometimes need a reminder that there's someone better in control than me. So no more Yellowstone backgrounds. I kind of didn't run out of pictures, but all the pictures are kind of the same, and I don't know if you guys are bored of those. So we are going to go back to the movie theme because I love movies. And Monty and Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. Fantastic movie. You need to see it. If nothing else, for the rabbit that has teeth like these. And for 'Tis But a Flesh Wound. If you have Tracy's sense of humor, don't bother. You're not even going to like it. Now, if you have my sense of humor and my boys, you're going to like it. And then Teen Moses leading him to Prom Land. Promised Land, Prom Land. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, sure, you betcha. So I wanted to read to you parts of the opening from Max Lucado's book, God Came Near. Christianity in its purest form is nothing more than seeing Jesus. Christian service in its purest form is nothing more than imitating him who we see. To see his majesty and to imitate him, that is the sum of Christianity. He uses the example of a gentleman who had been blind for 50 years, and then a surgical procedure came along that restored his sight. And he went out and he finally got to see everything that he'd been experiencing. And he compares and contrasts that to we can see everything. Like he says, you can see 100 of rainbows, but never truly appreciate its grandeur. You can see your family, your spouse, your friend every day, but maybe never truly appreciate what they do for you until that's taken away. We see all kinds of things in our lives that we don't necessarily appreciate until they're gone, or until they're changed, or until we finally have our eyes open and we can appreciate them. And of course, he likens that to Christ too. He says, being honest or moral or even religious doesn't necessarily mean we will see him, Jesus. We may see what others see in him, or we may hear what some say he said, but until we see him for ourselves, until our own sight is given, we may think we see him, having in reality seen only a hazy form in the gray semi-darkness. Have you seen him? Have you caught a glimpse of his majesty? A word is placed in a receptive crevice of your heart that causes you ever so briefly to see his face. You hear a verse read in a tone you've never heard, or explained in a way you've never thought, and one more piece of the puzzle falls into place. Someone touches your painful spirit as only one sent from him could do. And there he is, Jesus. Gone is the pomp of religion, dissipated is the fog of theology, momentarily lifted is the opaque curtain of controversy and opinion. Erased are our own blinding errors and egotism, and there he stands, Jesus. Have you seen him? Had it been a while since you have seen him? Do your prayers seem stale? It probably has. Or if your prayers seem stale, it probably has. If your faith seems to be trembling, perhaps your vision of him has blurred. If you can't find power to face your problems, perhaps it's time to face him. And he says in his closing paragraph, says, my prayer for this book, without apologies, is that the divine surgeon will use it as a delicate surgical tool to restore sight. The blurriness will be focused and darkness dispersed, that the Christ will emerge from a wavy figure walking out of a desert mirage to become the touchable face of a best friend. That we will lay our faces at the pierced feet and join Thomas in proclaiming, my Lord and my God. And most supremely, that we will whisper the secret of the universe. We were eyewitnesses of his majesty. When I read that opening introduction to his book, I was intrigued, to say the least, of course, because I think that I too get comfortable with my relationship maybe with Jesus, and that I begin to take him for granted, and maybe I don't truly see some of his work sometimes. Sometimes we get too comfortable and too close and we can't see what's right in front of us. We need bifocals or trifocals. My hope is when we take a look through this book, God Came Near, which is an old book of Max's. Man, I don't know when it was put out. It probably has been put out a couple of times, but like 1982 is its latest copyright. 1987, I'm sorry. So, is that 23 years? Oldie but goodie, let's put it that way. We don't throw things away just because they're old, do we? Man, I hope not. I'm getting up there too. But I think it was, I was talking about my view. Sometimes you get too comfortable. You just don't see the grandeur and the power. You need to be reminded of that wonderful person that Jesus was, what he taught. And my hope is, when we go through this type, that we get to get a glimpse of that again, that we get a chance to truly see Jesus again. I imagine we'll be challenged. Max is good at that. Max is always really good too at offering us a hope and a vision. So if you've turned away a little bit because of the last one that was kind of serious and deep, I hope you give us another chance with this Max Lucado book, God Came Near. I'm looking forward to going through it again. So hopefully we will see you tomorrow or the next day. Maybe I can convince the hooligans to give us another taste of their irreverent humor and their view of the world as they do one together. But most of all, my hope is that you find hope and solace in knowing that God did come near and that God does come near. I hope you look forward to experiencing that again as we journey through the Chronicles of Christ with Max Lucado. Amen.